well, this one's been everywhere lately. The industry is dying. There's no work out there. Really. And we believe that. Okay, I'm going to do something a little different with this one because I actually get why people feel this way. I do. I'm in Charleston. We had Outer Banks filming here, Righteous Gemstones, big crews, big budgets, local actors getting called in, and then both shows wrapped. And it got quiet, noticeably quiet. So if you're in a market that feels slower right now, I'm right there with you. Okay, I'm not going to stand here and tell you you're imagining things, but the industry is dying? Well, that's a different claim. And it doesn't survive contact with actual numbers. So let's look at some actual numbers. But here's what most people don't realize. That period that everyone remembers as normal, the 2019, 20, 21 era, when it felt like every streamer was greenlighting everything. Well, that wasn't normal. That was a bubble, and it was driven largely by COVID. I mean, think about it. Nobody was leaving the house. The only thing to do was watch TV. Right? Every streamer on earth looked at those subscriber numbers and thought, this is the new normal. Greenlight everything. In 2021, there were 759 scripted series in production. 759. Netflix was spending like a sailor on shore leave. Amazon, Apple, HBO Max, everybody was throwing money at content, trying to win the streaming wars. Well, that was never going to last. People went back outside, and the bubble popped. So today, we're at about 490 scripted series a year. And yeah, that's a big drop from 759. I get why that feels like the sky is falling. But do you know how many scripted series were airing in 2009 when FX first started tracking this? 210. We're at more than double that number, and people are calling it a death spiral. I mean, this industry has been declared dead more times than Cher has said goodbye. And like Cher, it keeps showing up. But forget the show count for a second. Follow the money, because if the industry were dying, the money would be leaving, and it's not. I mean, Netflix is spending $20 billion on content this year. Their CFO said, and this is a direct quote, that their current spending is not anywhere near the ceiling. Amazon spent $22 billion on content last year. Apple spent $7.5 billion combined. The major streamers spent over $100 billion worldwide on content in 2025. $100 billion. That's not an industry writing its obituary. That's an industry reorganizing. So if the money didn't leave, where'd it go? Well, a lot of it went overseas. Right, let's be honest about that. The UK, Canada, Eastern Europe, they've been eating Hollywood's lunch with tax incentives and cheaper production costs. Warner Brothers just expanded their studios in the UK. HBO is shooting the Harry Potter series over there. Studio executives are ranking international locations ahead of US cities. Now that's real, and it stings. But here's what's also happening, and this is the part that matters if you're a regional actor. The work that stayed in the US, it left LA. LA shooting days were down 16% last year. Now that's real, right? If you're in Los Angeles, I totally understand the panic. And if you're not in Los Angeles, keep listening, because this next part matters. But New Jersey, production is up 75%. Illinois, up 70%. New York, up 31%. Georgia, still running a 30% tax credit. Texas just invested $1.5 billion in film incentives. Wisconsin launched a brand new program. Iowa launched a brand new program. 13 states expanded or created new film incentive programs in the last year alone. Okay, the work didn't disappear from the industry. It disappeared from a zip code, and it scattered to dozens of others. I mean, right here in South Carolina, yeah, I mean, it's quiet right now, but the state just lowered the minimum production spend from $1 million to $250,000. They launched a new filmmaker incentive, and there's a bill pending right now to triple the annual film tax credit cap from $10 million to $30 million. That's not a state that's given up on this industry. That's a state that's gearing up. And me, well, Charleston's quiet, but Atlanta is a 5-hour drive. one of the biggest production hubs in the country. If I left early, I could be there by lunch. And here's something else nobody's talking about. There are entire categories of acting work now that literally did not exist 3 years ago. Microdramas, vertical series, those short form shows on your phone. Well, that market went from basically nothing to a projected $7.8 billion this year. Actors are booking 40, 50, 60 of these projects. Some are supporting themselves entirely from this work. Lead roles are paying $500 to $1,000 a day, and SAG-AFTRA already has a contract for them. This isn't some shady corner of the internet. It's a new sector with union protections and real money. Commercials? Ad spending in the U.S. grew 11% last year. Connected TV advertising, that's commercials on streaming platforms, that's growing almost 14% this year. That's more commercials being made for more platforms than ever. The SAG-AFTRA commercials contract just got ratified with almost 97% approval. $218 million in new earnings for members. 5% raises in year one. If you're only looking at scripted TV pilot season and saying it's dead, well, you're reading the wrong map, right? Now, am I saying everything's great and there's nothing to worry about? No, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. Broadcast network scripted TV is shrinking. That's real. ABC went from 74% scripted programming to 26% in 10 years. Seasons are shorter, 6 to 8 episodes instead of 22. That means fewer production days, even when the show count holds steady. SAG-AFTRA is at the table right now, negotiating a new contract. AI protections, healthcare, residuals, big stuff. It's all being worked out right now. The fact that both sides started talking earlier than usual, well, I read that as a good sign, but until there's a deal, there's uncertainty, and uncertainty makes people nervous. And the old version of this industry, where you get on a network show that runs for 7 seasons with 22 episodes each, well, that's a smaller door than it used to be. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but the new version, more platforms, more formats, more markets, more money flowing to more places, well, that door is wider than it's ever been. So if you're sitting there right now thinking the industry is dying, I kind of get it. I live in a market that's between big projects. I check my casting notifications, and some weeks there's just not a lot there, but then I look at the actual data. $100 billion in content spending, 13 states expanding incentives, an entire new category of work that's paying actors $1,000 a day that didn't exist when I started. The industry isn't dying, it's changing. And the actors who figure out where it's going instead of mourning where it was are the ones that are going to be working. The work didn't disappear, it just moved. Go find it. Hey, you want to go deeper? Well, I wrote more about this at gary-mason.com/blog. The link is in the description. New myths busted every week. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.